Now, Call the Midwife continues this Sunday after more than 7 million of us, including me of course, tuned in for the start of the 10th series last weekend. My next guest now, she's been there since the very, very beginning. Jenny Agutter, we saw there, of course, plays Sister Julienne, joins me now. It's so lovely to see you and fantastic to have you all back in our lives on a Sunday night.
I can't tell you how pleased I am to be doing it. It's just really lovely.
It's a great series, and you've been there since the very, very start. And it's strange to think of it now, but back then it was kind of like, oh, well, you know, this might last one series and we'll see how it goes. And now it's one of the most successful shows on our telly.
One of the first midwives to qualify in England.
Yes, I have to say, we had 6 episodes at the beginning, and I thought that they were wonderfully written and were really good people involved, and Philippa Lowthorpe directed, and it was beautifully done. But it never occurred to me that we would go on. But it immediately picked up a large audience, and we were commissioned for the following year, and so it went on. I mean, of course, you know, Jennifer Worth's memoirs were very popular, so I suppose we piggybacked off that. But the stories that are created and invented by Heidi are just wonderful. But they always focus on the year that we're in.
Exactly, that's the thing that I found absolutely fascinating. You know, going from the 50s into the 60s, we're now 1966, and all of the references and the fashion and just everything is, I mean, the care that's taken to make sure that that's also authentic.
Yes, and there's of course the news that one's getting, you know, what affects one. We're in 1966, and
yeah, we can tell. It's, do you know what I like about your character? She's very, very much at the heart of everything. She's a good woman, obviously she is.
Yeah.
You know, but she can be pretty pragmatic. She's very kind and all of that. But now we're seeing a fascinating thing where she knows that in order to continue the work that they do in Nanatta's house, they have to actually look at privatisation, which of course resonates with things that are happening today, and it's the first time that her and lovely doctor have fallen out.
Yes, I mean, the point is that Sister Julienne is really concerned that Nanatta's house is not going to survive. Their place in the community, even though we've seen Trixie fighting for that in the past, there's still the sense of not having enough money, not knowing where it's going to go, and what exactly their place is, because of course women are going to hospitals much more, and the midwives, it's a whole different change. Yes. She recognises that, and she sees a possibility, and she goes with it. And it does mean there is a difference of opinion between Dr. Turner and herself, but it's all looking very good at the moment. So we can see that the positive side of what she's doing, yes. and she is she's a pragmatic person. Yeah. The most important is that they remain serving the community. To her, that's the most important thing.
I think the biggest misconception about the very few people who don't watch is that this is a cosy, cuddly, lovely show. And absolutely, it's full of hope and optimism. Never shies away, though, from really, really difficult topics. And on Sunday night, they talked about the veterans who were subjected to nuclear testing. You know, young British men subjected to that on Christmas Island. And that, again, you know, you don't necessarily expect that in a show like Call the Midwife. The perceptions of the show are not accurate if you've not watched.
Absolutely, I think you're right. It's the people, though, that don't watch the programme that say it must be it's a cosy, you know, Sunday evening show, because what is illustrated is, in fact, life as it was in whatever year we're in, with the problems and the social problems and the community's problems that arise. And we rarely have very simple, you know, happy endings where everything works out, because life isn't like that. But what we do have is a very close community who support one another. And I think that gives hope, and it shows the resilience of human nature. And I think particularly with the times that we've been going through, you know, to see a community together, working together, and to see how resilient we can be as human beings, I think is very uplifting.
Absolutely. I love the fact as well that your son is a doctor, which kind of works. Do you ever ask him for any, if you're thinking, but I suppose it just depends.
I do.
Do you ask him?
Yeah, I know. It's not just, you know, about the situations, but it's actually things like pronunciations of some of the medications and some of the conditions that people have. I mean, I've got one coming up in this series, which is unpronounceable, a medication and indeed a condition that was very difficult to say. So I had to work on that with him and kind of understand what that was about. But he actually says he watches, and he says he's intrigued because, you know, situations will come up where he thinks, now, what could that be? And he says he finds that really interesting and then goes to look it up himself. And of course, huge amount of research has gone on. So, you know, all of the information has to be correct.
No, of course it does. And it's amazing what you can do in these days. You know, you're obviously very, very careful on set with COVID, and you can still make it look so real when these little babies are born.
Yes, it's not easy because, of course, one has to have the 6 foot distance, except as in this scene, which is rather wonderful, I get to deliver a baby on the kitchen floor, which is in the first episode. And of course, because we're facing different directions, we can be that little bit closer. And it also meant that I didn't have to wear a mask, which makes things easier as well, because it's quite hard doing that. But the distances has been just something to overcome.
Yeah.
I think the most difficult thing is actually for the poor director who watches us and never sees a performance until the moment he says action, because we've got to leave our masks on through rehearsal, and not, you know, not show anything. And in fact, looking at one another, one's not quite sure what the actor's doing opposite you. So it's quite a revelation when you take the mask off and actually see each other's faces and see what you're doing.
Gosh, it's incredible, but it works. It works beautifully. I can't wait. I mean, Sunday night is amazing because, of course, we've got you followed by Line of Duty, which is marvellous. Jenny, thank you. I know you're already working on the next series, working on the Christmas special. Long may you reign. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
And it's lovely to see you and to talk to you too.
Thank you. Don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Lorraine on the ITV Hub and all the best clips, compilations and playlists right here on our channel. Just subscribe now and you'll never miss an upload. Click here to watch another video similar to this one, or click here to head to our channel's homepage to explore all of our exciting videos.